entrepreneurship is considered as an important factor to uplift the African continent. Many people do business in order to make profit, but today we are going to welcome an entrepreneur not like the others. So, good evening to you all and welcome on Career Show. My name is Carl Kenye. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe in order not to miss any session. So, today we are going to welcome a social entrepreneur passionate about helping indigent children or low income communities to develop their full potential by helping them to get access to quality education and other opportunities. So, we are going to welcome Sir Zion Oshiobugie, who is the founder of Clever Mind Nursery and Primary School. Hello, Sir Zion, and welcome on Career Show.
Thank you so much. It's a good time and it's good to be here.
Okay, sure. So, sir, reading your background, one does not have the impression that you are undertaking in a conventional manner since you have chosen the social sector. What motivated you?
Okay. What motivated me is the fact that I'm a product of help. I'm a product of somebody's kindness. I'm a product of somebody's generosity. I grew up, and when I was 16, my parents fell into hard times. And, that was when it hit me at the first time that we were poor because my parents couldn't afford my education anymore. Into tertiary institution. And as it stands, I had to be a domestic help. I had to be what you call a houseboy here in Nigeria to get tertiary education. This person that I served as a houseboy did not even know me from anywhere, but he decided to educate me. So that was growing up, that is 17 to 18 years back, but that is one thing that actually motivated me. Seeing that I am a product of very many people's help, I just told myself, rather than do a conventional business, why not go into the social space and go into the remote areas, go into the shanties where people cannot afford education and help them with it. Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children in Africa. 1 in every 5 children are out of school in Nigeria. So we need to reduce that number, but more than reduce that number, we need to help these children to become great. But my motivation really comes from the fact that I'm a product of help, and I will not be where I am today if somebody had not given me quality education.
Okay, sure. So, sir, tell us a bit about Clever Mind School. What are you really doing there?
Clever Mind School is an initiative to help, number one, reduce the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. But we are starting now with our 2 schools we have in rural communities. What we also do at Clever Minds is to be able to teach children practical, problem-solving, analytical skills that will help them in the 21st century to solve real-life problems. That's very, very key. But we give nursery and primary education for free, and we help students in various rural areas with our educational intervention to make sure that they grow to become better. So Clever Mind School is just an initiative to help reduce that out-of-school numbers and help these children to harness their full potentials through education. Now, what we are also doing with our schools is that we realize that education is the only way that you can lift people greatly out of poverty, out of mass illiteracy. Education opens doors. Education unlocks the mind. Mandela said, education, if you open a school, you close a prison door. Education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. And if we can do that in every community, like we're doing with our schools, we'll have a better country. Better communities start with educated children.
Okay. But sir, tell us a bit, how do you cover your cost? Like, is it for free?
Yes, our school is free for orphan children in our first school. Our first school is a social enterprise, while our second school is a not-for-profit. So our first school was opened in 2017, where 50% of the learners are rural, low-income earners. And then we charge a development levy of $33 every year to be able to just cover running costs. That's for our first school. We have another school that we just completed in Iyara community. That one is totally free. How do we cover costs? Number one, we use the revenue we get, the stipend we get from the first school to run the school. While in the second school, we work in partnership with different organizations to cover our costs. We just recently signed an MOU with Slum to School Africa. We have recently also signed an MOU with, Beyond Pregnancy Initiative. And, we have these initiatives and these NGOs also supporting us, aside from the Delta State government, who is also strongly behind us because they granted us a license to operate. So for us, covering costs is basically through partnership, through donors, through partners, and then through other organizations, aside the fact that we get a little stipend from the first school we run as a social enterprise.
Wow. So you have anticipated, because my next question was, did you receive the assistance or the support from the government?
Yes, the government, we received some support from government. The biggest support we have received from government is when the government, through the magnanimity of His Excellency, Senator Dr. Ato Ifeanyi Okowa, who is our amiable governor of Delta State, he granted us a license to operate for free on a concession basis. So that is a big boost, because you can't do this work without being licensed by government. So that coming from government is big support. Last year also, the government granted us a little grant to be able to renovate our first school. So the government is supporting us in every way, because we are not against government. What we do is in partnership, just trying to, work hand in hand in terms of we are partners in progress with government. So we work to see that government can't do everything. So as government is supporting our initiative is also in a way complementing government's efforts, because the government want to reduce the number of out-of-school children. We are just complementing their effort through NGO, because let's be frank, the only way, apart from government, the only way we can drastically reduce this number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is through private sector investment and private sector partnership. So yes, government is supporting us because government also understands our role in helping them reduce this number and helping them educate children in rural communities.
Wow, great, sir. You are doing an amazing job in Nigeria. And the next question I want to ask you is, what are the difficulties that you encounter daily? Because you surely know that it's not easy. Maybe you receive many promises from people that don't fulfill. So the question is, what are the difficulties that you encounter daily?
One big difficulty I encounter, or we encounter every single time, like you just said now, my brother, people promise and fail. People promise and fail. Some people will see what you're doing. They say, oh, you're doing an amazing job. I will support you. And then you remind them 2 weeks after, and it seems as if you are disturbing them, So that's a big challenge for us. Another challenge sometimes we face is the fact that it takes a lot to educate a child in poverty, beyond money, beyond the textbooks, beyond the school. It takes a lot, because most of these children in poverty, some of them have never been to school before. Some of them started school very late. So it's a challenging job daily to bring them to the standard you are looking for, to the standard you want them to get to. It takes a whole lot, because most of their parents have no value for education. So it takes a lot. Another challenge sometimes we face is the issue where most people have not yet come to terms with the fact that for us to progress as a country or as a nation or whatever it is, we must collaborate. It's a challenge. Some people don't want to collaborate. So I don't want to mention finance, because by the grace of God, I always tell people that when it comes to the issue of funding, is something that we don't push down the throats of people. If you see our work and you like our work, you want to support us, yes. So in all our discussions, we will never mention funding as a challenge. Even if, yes, it is seemingly a challenge in this kind of work we do, but we don't want to believe that funding can stop the kind of dream we have. No, the kind of dream we have to educate 20 million children in our lifetime as a foundation, no, funding can't stop that. So we push the dream and we believe that every time we need funds, it will come. So our major challenge basically is trying to give these children the kind of education that their parents will value, making their parents value it. So, and raising the standard. So these are some of the challenges we face, and promises and fail. Lastly, you face a challenge where sometimes some people think because you are doing NGO work, you are a beggar.
Oh.
So a lot, my brother, but there's no challenge great enough to stop a dream that is willing to break any barriers. We are not in this for ourselves. We are in this for the next generation of Africans, because we know if we can get it right in education, we will raise better leaders.
Exactly. So you have been talking about the adversity, what you have been facing as difficulties. And my question now is, can you share with us your worst experience?
Wow, my worst experience.
Your worst experience in your journey as an entrepreneur, as a social entrepreneur. It's just the
social entrepreneur. I want to say that my worst experience is when I got into an accident that I know would have taken my life. It was a worst experience for me because in that accident, that's why my ear is deformed. You see, my ear is not complete anymore.
Wow.
I had a terrible accident in 2017 that almost took my life. Why was it a worst experience? Not because it was an accident, because I would have died not actualizing this dream due to procrastination. I've been procrastinating this thing I'm doing today.
Wow.
I had this idea to do this thing in 2013. I kept on procrastinating because I was scared. I kept on procrastinating because I think it was not yet time. I kept on procrastinating because I was thinking that am I the right person to do this? I kept on procrastinating because of different factors. And in 2017, July 5th to be precise, I was driving down from a nearby village where I went to give a talk, and my car skidded off the road. That was the last I remembered. I woke up in a pool of blood after the nurse said I was in a 9-hour coma.
Wow.
Today, I and my team, by the grace of God, we have affected the lives since 2017 when we started in August of over 3,000 children, aside those in our school. My question remains, where would those children have been if I did not start? So that was a worst experience for me. Seeing what I do today, I still beat myself to say, why did I wait so long to start?
Wow.
So 2017 was a turning point for me. And that's why I tell every entrepreneur, the right time to start is now.
Wow, exactly. So through that experience, through that story, you are just sending a strong message to young Africans that are watching us. And I think it's really amazing. So the question that I will ask you now is, what advice can you give to those Africans who wish to follow your path, who wish to follow your way, to follow your step, who wish to become social entrepreneurs, who wish to equally do the same thing in your countries? What advice can you give to them?
I will tell you that if you want to do what we do, start by volunteering. Volunteering is a great way to understand the ethics, to understand the principles, to understand the communities, to understand the work. You must serve before you can lead. So it's very important that you don't just jump to start. You must start and then volunteer your way to the top. So I would advise every social entrepreneur, everybody that wants to go into the social development space, you must start by volunteering. Because even before I started, I have been volunteering in different small places. Volunteering is something that every citizen should have as a norm. So my advice is, number one, volunteer. Number two, don't procrastinate. Number three, collaborate. Remember that if partnership will not work, if sponsorship will not work, partnership will work. If partnership doesn't work, then collaboration will work. So you must learn to collaborate and not compete. So these are the things I want to advise. And then lastly, when you start, don't be in a hurry to make it just now. Don't be in a hurry to be in the spotlight just now. Pay your dues. With time, as you progress, things will get better. It's always great to start and grow your wings as you go along. Remember, if you don't start something, there will be, if you wait for the perfect time, you will never start. So it's better to start something that you can perfect as you go along. I started something that I am still perfecting as I go along. I understand that practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement. Every single day I get better on the job. So no more to procrastination. Start now, because now is the right time. Thank you.
Wow, amazing, sir. So without wasting the time, we are going to take a short break and we are coming back in a minute. Welcome back on Career Show. We are still with Sir Zion Oshiobugie. So I have a question to ask you, because I saw that you are equally an alumni of the Tungeli Melu Foundation. I am also an alumni of the Tungeli Melu Foundation. So it's a pleasure to receive you on the show. But my question is, being a Tungeli Melu alumni, can you briefly share your experience of as a social entrepreneur who was shortlisted at the Tungeli Melu Foundation program? Can you briefly share with us your experience so that those listening to us, we understand that it's a program that can be helpful to them?
The Tungeli Melu Entrepreneurship Program is a life-changing program. Mr. Tony Oyemachi Elumelu, CON, is a mentor, is a father, is someone that has thought it wise to invest in the next 10 years of the lives of over hundreds of thousands African entrepreneurs. I was shortlisted in 2015 to get a $5,000 grant, and that grant is what we used to start our first school. As I speak to you now, I am currently the hub lead for my state, Delta State, here in Delta. And it's a life-changing experience, learning every day from the master, learning every day from people, other alumni. It's something that if you win the Tony Elumelu Foundation's grant, your life drastically has changed, because you get seed capital, you get mentoring, you get to meet a large network of alumni. And then what more? If you get to meet the man himself. So it's one program I tell people. When other people demanded for collateral before they funded our ideas, Tony Elumelu demanded for an idea that can change Africa. People said they wanted collateral. We were going to banks. They were asking us for collateral. Tony Elumelu said, don't give me collateral. I believe in an idea that can transform Africa. So that's why the man invests in idea. He's the only African entrepreneur that invests in the ideas of others. He doesn't want to know. He just wants to know, is this idea going to transform Africa? If yes, let's invest in it. So I encourage everybody listening to us to please apply for the program.
Wow, exactly, sir. So I agree totally with what you're saying. So the next question, sir, is that Nigeria is considered today as an hegemonic power in Africa. Do you think the business environment is favorable for doing business?
Well, Nigeria has its bottlenecks, but Nigeria has the population you need if you have a good business idea. 200 million people. Without government support, people are still thriving. Is it favorable? Well, yes and no. Yes, because some people, despite the harsh condition, they still thrive. Some, they don't thrive. But what I would say is that Nigeria is a place where you must come with open hearts, ready to create solutions. If you create solutions in Nigeria that can work, that can solve the problem of the common man, you are a millionaire, if not a billionaire.
Wow.
So Nigeria is a good place. Nigeria is a place where even if the government as a large body will not make too many things favorable for us, communities, friends, partners, the individual called a Nigerian, we are very good people. So when the people you meet in Nigeria are good, the people determine the environment. I have never met a bad Nigerian, and I will never meet one.
Wow. So you have been talking about the solution, talking about the environment and the population in Nigeria. It makes me want to ask you this question. Can you list us, or can you tell us maybe 3 or 5 sectors that you think that a young African can come to Nigeria? If he goes for it, he can be a billionaire, as you said.
Well, education is one. If you provide low-cost schooling to rural dwellers who are low-income earners, they are willing to pay you as long as the solution is good. Education is a good sector to invest in. Agriculture is another one. Nigerians eat a lot, so you can invest in agriculture. Online betting is another place where I also advise people to invest. Even if I don't bet, I don't like it, but it's a growing sector that because most Nigerians, they live by hope. They believe that they can bet 100 naira and win 2 million. So online betting is another place where people can invest their money. Media, another place where you can invest. Media, entertainment is so big, it's so huge here in Nigeria, because a lot of people are stressed, and whatever makes them laugh, they want to. That's why you see that there's a big rise in skit production, online comedians, and all that. They've broken the Hollywood, the Nollywood barrier. Yeah. Everyone is now a producer. Everyone is an editor. Nobody needs to go and edit for somebody else. Another area where you can make it here in Nigeria very, very good is transportation. People move around daily, commuting from place to place. And then aside that, real estate. So for me, these are some areas where I think people can come in and invest. But before you invest, you really, really, really need to know your market, and then you really need to know the people, and then, before you can go into the business that you want to do. So Nigeria is a good place, a green land, Forget all the bad stories you hear. Beautiful people, good people, and God has blessed us. That's one thing we have that some nations don't have. We have the blessings of the Lord.
Wow. So in what you have been saying, when we see you talking, we can see how passionate you are, maybe concerning your project, concerning what you're doing, concerning your country, concerning your environment. So it makes me want to ask you first, can you tell us the impact of the COVID-19 on your activity? Because we know that it's a pandemic that affects the whole world. So we wish to know how the pandemic affected you, affected your business, and how did you reinvent yourself, or which strategy you put in place to overcome all the difficulties?
You know, when the COVID hit in 2020, 2019, and then entered into 2020, schools were shut down. It affected me a lot. Affected me because whenever a child is not learning, whenever a child that is not privileged cannot go to school, I just feel I can't rest. You know, so it affected my work. It affected our programs, you know, because we had to sit at home for a while. But then I always look at it that sometimes challenges are the bedrock in which inventions happen. You know, so if there's no challenge, there's no invention. So we came up with programs, reinvented ourselves. Since schools were not going to open, our schools were closed down. We went into communities and we set up safe learning spaces that are COVID compliant in what we call community mentoring program and free primary 6 lessons across 4 slum areas. That for us is reinventing ourselves. We're able to impact the life of 1,000 children in 6 months, helping them with free lessons, free books, and other items to learn. So COVID really affected the rich and the poor. But education did not stop for the rich because they were privileged. We had to reinvent ourselves to help the poor because they are underprivileged.
Wow, amazing, sir. Amazing your story, amazing your sharing. So, sir, can you tell us how do you see Clever Mind School in 5 years? And what are your goals?
Well, the goal is straightforward. The goal is simple. Lift as many people from poverty as you can through education. Our goal is to plant more schools in different communities. Our goal is to work with other people for educational intervention. Our goal basically the next 5 years, we are targeting 25,000 orphans and underprivileged children to be able to help them harness their potentials through education. That's our goal. By planting schools up north, we want to touch the northeast and the northwest, which form a large chunk of Nigeria's out of school children, especially with their Oyemachi system. We want to make sure that we're able to touch the north using advocacy. Apart from planting schools, one major goal we have also is to use advocacy as a tool to sensitize people to go back to schools. These are our big goals we have as we go along into the future. Plant more schools and advocate through partnerships for children to be enrolled into schools.
Wow. So, sir, in what you're sharing, when seeing your action shows that for you, success is not about the amount of money in your bank account, but about the impact that you create in your community. So my question is, apart from that, like, can you tell us what do you define as success? What do you define as success?
I define success as daily steps taken towards actualizing the purpose you were sent to earth for. Every time you take a step towards actualizing the purpose you were created for, the goal you define for yourself, every time you take one step, no matter how small, towards achieving that goal, to make society better, to make lives better for other people, or any goal you set for yourself that is good. Anytime you take a fragment of a step towards that goal, you are successful. Wow. So little steps, local actions for global impact. That's success to me. Whenever you can take local actions, very minute actions, but gradually those local actions can spiral into a global impact. Success has happened.
Wow, exactly, sir. We are almost at the end of this show, and the question I want to ask you now is, what advice can you give to young and future entrepreneurs and African leaders?
Young and future African leaders, I'm going to steal a quote from my father, my mentor, Mr. Tony Oyemachi Elumelu, CON, to advise African leaders. I cannot end without mentioning my father. He said, and I quote, "Entrepreneurship is a long-term journey. There are no shortcuts. Stay the path. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. These are the words on marble from Mr. Tony Oyemachi Elumelu. There's no better advice you can give to any entrepreneur than to take a leaf from the father of African entrepreneurship, Mr. Tony Elumelu. And that will be my end quote, and that will be how I say thank you so much, because that's the man that gave life to the dream we have today.
Wow. So, sir, I have just a question again, because many young people, as you said to us there that as a young African, you have to start. You don't have to procrastinate. You don't have to waste. So, so my question now is, what can you say to those people listening to us that are waiting to have millions to start their business, because they believe that their project or their business plan, the value of their plan, and necessitate maybe made a good amount of money, and they are just waiting to have that amount before starting? What can you tell them?
Sometimes some people want to have a lot of money before you start. But I'll say two things to you. If you think you need a lot of money before you start your projects, first of all, I want to say, I don't know your project, so you have a lot of justification to think like that. But the question is always, no matter how big the dream is, can you break the dream to achieve the dream? That's the question we always ask people. If you can, why not break it to achieve it? Then, sometimes, learn how to see the dream. I always tell people, do you need money for a shop, or do you need a shop? Do you need money for a business, a land, or do you need a land? Do you need money for a boss, or do you need a boss? So learn to ask the right questions as an entrepreneur, and you will see that you don't need much to start. Wow. So when somebody says, I need money to start my business, we ask you, are you sure? Because the first thing that blocks every entrepreneur's mind is money. I need money. I need money. No. If you break down what you need money for, that it will just show you that you need those things, not money. If you want to start an online business and you need a phone, you need a phone. You don't need money to buy a phone. You need a phone. So learn to ask the right questions, break your dream to achieve them. And let me say something to you. Resources, what you call money, will meet you at the point of action. Resources always meet people at the point of action. So it's better to start and grow your wings than to procrastinate and dig your grave.
Wow, that quote at the end is really amazing, sir. So before we quit, I want you, sir, to give us your view about education, about school, because there are many coaches addressing to young African, telling them that this going to school is useless. But we are seeing you investing in education by helping the poor to get access to good education. So my question is for you, what is the value of education?
Education is gold. Education is gold, because even if you see school is sincerely different from education. You can get education in school if you desire, but genuine education is self-directed. So school is not a waste of time. School helps the mind. There's something school does to your mind. You build a lot of skills from going to school. But I will say to entrepreneurs, If you think you are not created to go to school, we can't force you. But even if you don't go to school, you must get educated.
Wow.
Learning never stops. School can stop, but learning should never stop. So, some people have decided not to go to school in their lives because of diversity, inclusion, and we must respect their views. We're not going to force them, but we'll beg them. If you decide not to go to a formal institution of learning, you must decide to be educated. You must decide to do self-directed learning. Very important as entrepreneurs that every day we must teach ourselves. Every day, every day. We go to school, we get a certificate, but when we educate ourselves, we open our minds to possibilities.
Wow, wow, exactly, sir. So the question that I want to ask you now, sir, I think this is the last question before we get out of this interview is, how can someone who has no basis, no parent, having grown up in extreme poverty, can he also reach the top in our African context, where very often man is a wolf to man?
This is deep. It's deep. You know, poverty cripples your options in life. A man that is poor, a man that grows up in poverty, I believe he can get to the top. I believe so, because even if you didn't choose to be poor, right? You didn't choose it, but you can choose your possibilities. You can choose your futures. When I discovered that my parents became poor, I decided to choose my future. And it started with my associations. Remember, it is very important who you associate with. I wanted to associate with people that looked like where I wanted to go. So even if you were born poor, even if you grew up poor, that was not your choice. But now it is your responsibility not to remain poor. There is poverty of resources, there's poverty of the mind. But the worst form of poverty you will ever have is when a man is poor in resourcefulness. As a young entrepreneur, you must be resourceful. You must be resilient. You must be able to say, I will not back down. I will not give up. I believe that one day, somewhere, somehow, through education, through learning, through meeting the right people, through networking, I have something inside of me. And aside that, I have a young man close to me that tells people about maximizing the talent they came with to this life. Everyone came with something. So our futures are always trapped inside of us. There's something that you have that you can trade with in exchange for the life you want. Some of us are good public speakers. It came naturally. Some of us are good in dancing. It came naturally. So no matter how poor you are not poor in natural resources. There's something in you that it's natural and it comes to you and that you do it easily. Your gift, your talent, no matter how poor you are, everyone has a talent. Take that talent, polish that talent, maximize that talent, and use that talent to trade with the world in exchange for resources. A poor man today, he will only remain poor if mentally he agrees he's poor and then physically he behaves poor. Poverty is not a barrier. It's only a mirage. We all can attain the top. This is not a motivational speech. This is a reality speech. It's very possible to attain the top. That's why I tell people, don't glorify anybody because you think that they are richer than you. Time is a leveler. Time is a leveler. With time, all will be well.
So, sir, I'm just amazed. So what I would just say is that we are at the end of this show, and I'll just thank you for coming, for accepting our invitation. So my question now is, can you share with us your impression about the career show?
Well, the career show, I mean, you have a very, very challenging questions. Your show does a lot of research before you come up with questions. I encourage everybody to keep watching the career show. My name is Oshiobugie from Nigeria. Keep watching the career show. My impression has been great. The host has been a great listener. And with this show, I think possibilities of Africans will be better. I really appreciate.
Wow, thank you. So, sir, before we say goodbye, I would just like to ask you now, maybe those watching this video, people may be interested, or people may wish maybe to accompany you, to ask yourself that what can they do to support this brilliant initiative that you are carrying? What can they do to support this brilliant initiative? You said at the beginning that funding is not a barrier. We know, but there are people that are always ready to give something, to give the hand. So my question is now is how can they do? How can they do to, if they have something or if they wish to accompany you in what you're doing?
The first thing I ask people, if you want to support what we do, first thing, please pray for us. That's number one. Please pray for us, because our work is beyond just doing a social work. We are dealing with the destinies of children, over 500 of them. Please pray for us. That's number one. Number two, please recommend us. Please recommend us. You might not have enough to support us today, but recommend us to somebody else. Share our work. Share our stories. Repost our videos. Number three, visit us if you can. If you cannot, number four, then financially support a child in our school. You can donate to support a child in our school. You can donate to feed a child in our school. You can donate to support the teacher salary in our school. As you feel led, as you feel the need. We do not put pressure on anyone to donate, but we say, check our work. Look at our stories. Wherever you feel your resources can be better utilized in any of our work, please don't hesitate to send us that resources to enable us to support more children. Remember that as you support the work, we can support more children. But most importantly, keep us in your heart and wish us well.
Okay, so thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you so much.
May God bless you, and may God bless all the children of Clever Mind School.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.